Got to tune up here. Do you have my laugh record in there, please? Because it's showbiz. Showbiz in the yard wide. Showbiz. Speaking of showbiz, did you read about that minister the other day? Boy, showbiz has taken over. It's really taken over. Showbiz uber alles. This minister the other day opened his Sunday, his big Palm Sunday service, got up in front of everybody, and he says, all right, folks, before we do anything else, let's give God a big hand. Let's give God a big hand. And the crowd thundered out its applause. And somewhere off in wherever it is, somewhere, God bowed and said, you haven't seen anything yet. Oh, I've got some trickies up my sleeve. If you think this creation bit was a big thing, well, you see what I've got. How do you like this one for size? And with that, he hurls a fantastic lightning bolt. Boom! 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 Cut! Yeah, when I go like that, it means cut, boom, cut, boom. He says, try that one out for size. Well, all right, friends. How about let's giving... Well, I almost said let's give the devil a big hand. Because, you know, there are some philosophers who say without the devil, there would be no God. Without good, there would be no evil. And without radio, there would be no shepherd to do these awful things that he's about to do. So just bring it up. All together, gang. Oh, I'm the Shiek. I'm the Shiek of Araby. Oh, your love belongs to me, baby. Oh, baby, at night when you're asleep, razzmatazz, into your tent. I'll creepity creep. Oh, the stars that shine above. Oh, light our way to love. You'll rule this land with me. I'm the Shiek, the Shiek of Araby. Oh, that thing! I'm the Shiek of Araby. Oh, your love belongs to me, baby. At night when you're asleep, into your little tent, I'll creepity creep. The stars that shine above will light our way to love. Oh, you'll rule this big old fat land with me, baby. I'm the Shiek, the Shiek of Araby. The Shiek shop. Hey, that was fantastic. Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that nice? All the little old ladies are applauding out there, and all the guys are frantically turning their dials looking for soupy sales. And while they're doing that, now listen now, don't look at me like that. It might come as a terrible shock to you, but I am much younger than soupy sales. Hit it, come on. All together, gang, let's go. And now, as an encore, Mr. Shepherd sings. He always sings raggedy music to the cattle as he swings back and forward in the saddle of the horse. That is syncopated gated, and there's such a funny meter to the roar of his repeater. How they run when they see this fella come, because the western folks all know he's a rootin' tootin' highfalutin son of a gun from Arizona. Ragtime Cowboy, oh what a cowboy, Ragtime Cowboy Joe. All together now, we always sing. What an exciting world. Yes, sirree. Didn't know I could do that, did you? You want to try on another one there a little bit later on there? All right, you put up after you've gone, just a little bit later on. For those of you who wonder what it's all about, and why there is this great spirit of euphoria, not only because it's Friday night, but I am about to take off for Bangkok, Siam, New Delhi, Singapore, Karachi, and I'll be back in 3 weeks. But the show will be on, of course, every night while I'm gone. We're going to play old Martha Dean tapes and a lot of other great stuff here, you know, exciting interviews, and we'll have John Gambling come on with a few taped, he's going to do a few guest time signals. Very good, they're very good. Exciting. He's going to do a lot of weather reports and things like that. Some Westport school announcements. Norman Luboff Choir. We've got things moving here. I'll tell you, this dynamic, hard-hitting radio. But for those of you who would like to come and see old Shep off, we'll be down at the Limelight tomorrow night with bells on. I've got them all tuned. And, I'll tell you this. I'm beginning to get the itch. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm getting the itch that I want to... I'm really getting the itch that I want to do a TV show. I've got the itch, and it's beginning to bite me. Every Saturday night I go down there and do that Limelight show. I can taste it. And I can see that little old red light going on. I can say, you got after you've gone up there? All right, let's show them what we can do with it. Come on, bring it up there, Dad. Let's go. All together. Let's go. Let's bring it up there. Let's go. No, set it back. That ain't after you've gone. Hello? No. You got something else up there. I don't know what that is. I was something in the park one day. That's not it. No. Set it back up there. After you've gone and left me crying. You know, it's a funny business, though, about that. No, wait. I'll give you the cue, and I'll take it out now, and I'll just have to call for it again there. I've got a thing I want to do here before we do anything else. You know, it's... I was thinking about that guy getting up there and leading the cheers there on Palm Sunday. He says, all right, let's give a big hand for God. And everybody applauded and cheered and whistled. Incidentally, this reverend happens to also be an ex-Hollywood scriptwriter and ad man, so it was very natural that he would approach it from that standpoint. Oh, yeah. and that's an old gambit. It's an old gambit that goes way back to the days of Euripides. He did pretty much the same thing in his own way. And in the same newspaper, since it is Friday night, we might as well bring up a few of the evil sides of man. And I don't know. You know, when I get near a phone in about 2 hours, I'm going to call home and find out if this could possibly be my cousin. I'm telling you the truth, because it's a scary thing to run across a little clipping, a little funny clipping at the bottom, and you say, oh no, I know who that is. I know who that one is. Listen to this one. Chicago. Calvin J. Netter sued for divorce yesterday because of a lot of little things that he claimed his wife, Arline, made him do. Such as Listen what Arline made him do. Turn on light switches with his elbows. 2, change his clothes whenever anybody coughed. She made him leave his shoes and clothing in the basement upon entering the house and then had to bathe immediately. 3, refusing to allow his parents, her parents, or any visitors inside the house since 1958 because they're dirty. 4, washing the ceilings and the walls of their suburban Park Ridge home after the repairman left. He had to wash all the ceilings, all the walls. And finally, he had to wash the entire interior of the family car following service for fear that a mechanic had sat upon the upholstery. I swear that's my cousin Arline. My cousin Arline was our silent bathroom cousin. And she lives in Park Ridge. That's what scares me. That Arline, I can remember Arline, everybody's got a bathroom person in their family. Somebody who spends most of the time in the you-know-what. Now, that isn't to say that they're in there, for business. What they're doing is just in there, that's all. And whenever the family would come over to visit, we'd all come over Sunday to visit Aunt Kate. And my cousin Joyce would be out there fooling around with the yo-yos and stuff, and my cousin Buddy would be breaking bottles and hollering, and Arline would be gone. And about 3 hours would go by. Finally, my mother would say, where's Arline today? And Aunt Kate would say, she's in the bathroom. Either that or somebody would have to, they'd bang on the door, and hours later, Arline would come out, and silently, always silent. Arline was always either skulking in the bedroom, straightening up her brushes, straightening up her drawers in her bureau, or sweeping up, she was always in her bedroom straightening up. There was Arline straightening up. Either that or Arline was in the bathroom straightening up. What do you think she was doing? Looking in the mirror, straightening all her hairs out. She was straightening them all out. She used to straighten out her eyebrows. Carefully, one by one, she would straighten them out and stretch them. Each one with her fingers, each one. With a tweezer, she would stretch them. And then she would polish her chin with a little chamois cloth. Or the top of her head with a chamois. Oh, yes, what can a girl do standing 17 and a half hours straight in front of the mirror? Well, that was Arline. Everything. She would take each little curler and straighten it out and polish it and put it in, and then take it out and put it in again. Then she would start straightening out her eyebrows, at the top, with the eyebrows with the little brush and all that. I swear that's my cousin Arline. I understood she married somebody named Clarence or Chester, and nobody has seen her since 1958. And by the way, she was the kind of a nut. Whenever we went out to the forest preserves on a picnic, they had to take Arlene's lunch along special because Arline would not eat off paper plates. Arline would not eat off anything that had air in it, and Arline would eat off little jars. She would open up little jars with her own little spoons. She would polish, and she would eat like that. And she's a kid of 6. The whole bit, that takes special little lunch. That must be Speaking of nuts, this is WOR, AM at FM, New York. Would you please hit the DEAUX button, please, there. Hit it there. That's the money button. Just hit the money button there. All right, while you're getting the money button, you always have those ready there, boy. That's what we're in business for here. Go ahead, hit it. There it goes, Jim. Very good. Very good. Oh, the glow of hospitality, the sparkle of friendship, those merry hiccups. These are the qualities that you pour with every glass of sparkling, flavorful, distinctive Miller High Life. Woo-hoo! High Life, the champagne of bottled beer. This beer, with its wonderful old-world flavor, has a heritage all its own. Brewed for centuries in a musty old European castle, during 1965, Miller High Life celebrates its 1,223rd anniversary in America. Brewed under perfect conditions in Milwaukee. You say, woo-hoo! When you pour Miller High Life. All right, we took care of that account, didn't we? Gee whiz, that's very exciting. Now, do you have another one in there for us, Jim? That's it. There it goes into the slot. Oh boy, I'll tell you, we're down here in the old mill. They're grinding it out. Shepherd approaches once again the last. He turns the great big golden spigot. The one it is marked, the one that's marked black ink. Here it comes.
Light up a Kent, you got a good thing going. Light up a Kent, for real good taste. Light up a Kent, you got a good thing going. Good tobaccos, the Kent filter for good taste going when you light up a Kent.
Light up a Kent, and you've got a good thing going. Good taste, the mild, mellow taste of Kent's vintage tobaccos, flavor blended for good taste, and the Kent filter for extra good taste.
Light up a Kent, you got a good thing going. Light up a Kent, for real good taste. Light up a Kent, you got a good thing going. Good tobaccos, the Kent filter for good taste going when you light up a Kent. You got a good thing going when you light up a Kent. Light up a Kent, light up a Kent.
Gee, that's exciting. That certainly was very exciting. You know, funny thing though about that business of I can't get it out of my craw. You know, speaking of getting things out of your craw, there's a lot of problems today, you know, involving the interpretation of good and evil, and what is religious and what is not religious, and things are changing tremendously. And if you will please get up my salute to the ineffable, fantastic, unbelievable English music, you just prepare it in there. We will give you another salute and show you. Do you remember here a few months ago when everybody was hollering about? We'll wait until after we do the salute because it'll be funnier after that. You hear what's going on out there in the world. Boy, isn't this a great world? I'll tell you, isn't it gas? Really. I mean, what is funnier than an American? With the possible exception of perhaps maybe he's topped by an Englishman. And if you stand back far enough, even funnier than that is a Japanese. And even funnier than that is a Chinese. In fact, I don't know of one single race of man or nationality or whatever you want to call it that is not wildly funny one way or another. Wildly funny. Have you ever tried to go to a Chinese restaurant and even if you know them like the back of your hand, you know, have you ever tried to convince them of little subtleties like I don't want any but bring some for my friend? Ever tried to do that? Like today, I was eating in Mandarin and I was there with Jimmy McAleer, and I said, bring my friend some deep honey fried apples. Have you ever had those? And the guy says, also a specialty here, also very good, deep fried apples, very good. You want some deep fried apples? I said, no, not me. I don't want deep fried apples. My friend, bring deep fried apples for him. I don't want any deep fried apples. Also, deep fried apple, deep fried apple, please. Oh. Well, 30 seconds later, he brought out 17 dishes of deep fried apple for all everybody out deep fried. I said, no, for only him. You both have deep fried apple here, deep fried. Well, we had deep fried apples up to our knees. So I began to realize this great big slogan they've got out at the World's Fair that says peace through understanding. Peace through understanding, almost impossible in the world today. Bring on big music there, please. Once again, Frank Watanabe, your Oriental reporter. Salute the English. All will stand in awe of craggy Englishman. Richard Lion-hearted, standing upon the bulwark, the barricades of civilization. The BBC programming service once again salutes Englishmen wherever they might be. And in today's world of turmoil, the British Broadcasting Corporation brings you Englishmen today. faced many religious and philosophical crises, philosophical crises. Here from London, special report, London Observer. A vicar intervened in a village dispute over the question, has a dog the right to have a Christian cross on its grave? 6 months ago, Henry Tracy of Felpham, Sussex, buried his Great Dane, Aristotle, in the pet cemetery at Chobham, Surrey. Since then, in separate incidents, the $250 cross has been cracked, broken in half, and removed from the Garden of Memory. The cemetery's trustee, Mrs. Daphne Renwick, has received 12 anonymous angry letters saying it is sacrilegious, and we quote here, to mark a dog's grave with a cross. And now the problem has been intensified. The owner of a deceased Labrador called Rupert wants to erect another cross. So Mrs. Renwick conducted a poll. She pinned a notice outside the cemetery gates asking people if they had any objection to a cross on Rupert's grave. Quickly, 24 of them signed yes and 15 no, and so the battle was joined. Yesterday, the Reverend Oswald Roney Ackworth, Vicar of Chobham, ruled, and here is the official ruling. A dog cannot be a Christian until it has been baptized. That is the deciding factor, and as I cannot imagine any vicar baptizing a dog, even a Labrador, I must side with the objectors. We salute tonight the Reverend Roney Ackworth, Vicar of Chobham, for his clean, incisive hewing to the very center of the core of this philosophical battle that rages, even though the ramparts are beginning to crumble as we watch them. Our God will fight them from the beaches. We'll fight them from the hedgerows with blood, sweat, and tears. This has been a special program service of the British Broadcasting Corporation. Hey, hello there, Dad. Do you remember a few months ago when this English lady came out with a big book on the American way of death? Remember all that thing? She never mentioned that, did she? You know what I've noticed about most people in the world? Seriously. I'm telling you, this is a sort of a half-baked world traveler. I have noticed that almost every other country in the world, Jim, is very knowledgeable, highly critical, and extremely analytical about all other countries. Except America. Yeah, we just accept all the other countries as being basically great. Yeah, and we are fantastically analytical, highly critical, and thoroughly negative about our own country. It's a complete reverse. And, speaking of that, of the animal thing in England, this thing goes to recently a vicar. They were having problems there with pigeons, and pigeons all over the place. See. And so the vicar said, this vicar made a ruling. He suggested that they give the pigeons birth control pills. He said, well, actually, it won't hurt the pigeons, They'll still have their fun. However, they just won't be able to produce pigeons. British get right to the heart of it, Of course, I'm having spent some time in England. I'm a great fan of the English and their ineffable aplomb. I don't know whether or not you're aware of what the BBC News is like. For those of you who have ever traveled anywhere in the British Empire, the 7 p.m. overseas, international, all over the world, all over the planet, all over the solar system, British news is the biggest thing. Well, it's what keeps the empire together. Some people say that's it, And I'll tell you how they produce it now. I'll get to the reason why I'm telling you this. I am lying in my sack in Nigeria. Oh, boy, it's hot. Man, was it ever hot. I'm lying there, the fan is... And I'm feeling like a cross between Sidney Greenstreet and Peter Lorre, and just a little touch of the remittance man. You begin to feel when you get in those countries, way out there in the boondocks of civilization out there, way out back, you begin to feel almost like the basic man. You feel like you should start swigging gin out of a leather pouch or something. And you develop this little look in the eye of a man with a deep, ineffable sorrow. You have run away from it all. Yes, somewhere at the back outland of it all, somewhere beyond the last burned and frizzled tree stump of existence, there lies the lonely grave of the remittance man. And hovering over is the ghost of the woman who put him there. Not romantic, I'm lying there in my sack. Oh boy, is it hot. Oh, wow. And this is one in a compound, it's British, all Britishers all over the place. They're there for British BP, British Petroleum. And they're very proper British. They wear the white shorts with the black belt, with the snappy white shirts, with the black tie, with the little epaulets, they had little funny little hats on. Oh boy, they carried swagger sticks. I've known many a second lieutenant that went out and bought a swagger stick as soon as he got out of OCS. At Fort Monmouth, and felt like a real idiot afterwards. Didn't know what to do with it, and he used it to prop up the door in the BOQ or something like that. Well, the British know what to do with a swagger stick. I'll tell you, they make one little movement, and you know what the movement means. They have done it with the swagger stick in the proper place, there's a little comment just like that. Oh, yeah, they carry that swagger stick. So I am lying there in the sack. The fan is going, and outside I can hear the jungle beast going, oh, wowie, And I have my sundowner next to me, lukewarm Pepsi-Cola. It's terrible to have to realize that it's even there, It's very hard to think young when the temperature's 107. I'll tell you, when you are covered by lizards and mosquitoes, very difficult to have that swinging, that look alive, you're in the Pepsi generation, you're in the Pepsi. It's going over me. I'm lying there in my sweat-bound sack, and I hear in the next room, they have paper-thin walls. It's a jungle there. They don't need any insulation or anything. I hear the door close, and I hear Pamela. He's there. The Englishman has returned, and he is now barking at his wife. And then I hear. Big Ben. I am hearing Big Ben in the Nigerian bush. Have you ever heard Big Ben? You've heard records of it. And I said, where's it coming? I hear him. And I hear her go, English lady voices, they sort of blow it out through their nose and one ear. The same thing. And I say, well, that's the radio. And with that, I turn over in my heat-begrimed sack, and wow, I'm hot. The fan is going. I turn on this little transistor radio I have, and it's going. My little, you ought to hear a transistor radio play the Big Ben, I'll tell you. Little speakers, and on comes there's that fantastic pause that they always do. There's a long, pregnant pause, and you have a feeling that you have tapped into the bloodstream of Richard the Lion-Hearted itself. Boy, it's right there. You can hear armor clanking. You can hear shields being held to the sun. You can hear the galloping of palfreys as they charge the infidels, the whole bit, There's a pause, and then that announcer comes in. Good evening. There's another pause. London calling. London calling. They don't say anything like, this is your family station. They don't say nothing like that. They don't come on there. This is your friendly RKO General Station, your family station, your station for news. Nothing. He just says, London calling. And now, the 7 p.m. news. All over the entire empire, there are gentlemen in in these white shorts, holding their sundowners, you know. Their thin ladies are putting on their flower dresses for the evening meal, and they are listening to England. They don't believe any other news, you know. I mean, they just don't. This is it. I mean, it's coming from the Home Office. And this English voice comes on. Well, you never heard such a cool voice. No emotion. He just reads each one of these items. Each one is given equal emphasis. It can be that it has been reported that the entire continent of Asia is sinking into the Pacific Ocean. Now the weather off. It's all magnificent, you know. It's just beautiful, and it gives you a calming feeling that don't worry, this too shall pass. Well, do you know what happened the other night on the BBC? Did you see that little tiny news item? Well, it must have rocked the empire. Well, on came Big Ben. And it rang the hour. Yes, the great Tower of London, you could hear it ringing out over millions of miles of ocean. And then the announcer said, "London calling." And there was a long pause. And then he said, "Time now for the news." Seems we've mislaid it. We've mislaid the news. We've mislaid the news. And now a brief organ recital for one moment while we find the news. They found the news 8 minutes later. They filled with a Haydn quartet, played by 4 good Englishmen, however. After you've gone, oh, there's no denying. You'll feel blue, you'll feel sad. Oh, you're gonna miss the greatest man done ever had. Oh, there'll come a time, and don't you forget it, baby. There'll come a time, oh, you're gonna regret it. You're gonna go around dragging your feet. You're gonna kick your shoes off and weep and yell and holler. Someday when you're lonely, your heart's gonna bust like mine, baby, and you're gonna want me only. Oh, only after you've gone. See, after you've gone away, when you close that big old fat door, and I've split, and I am humming out along that Pennsylvania turnpike of life. Oh, swinging and singing, hollering, yelling, going to the ball game, having a ball all the way down the line, and you're going to weep and holler, and you're going to feel sad, you're going to yell, you're going to miss the greatest man you've done ever had. Oh, there'll come a time, and don't you forget it, there'll come a time when you're going to regret it. Someday when you are lonely, your heart's gonna bust like mine, and you're gonna want me only, baby. After you've gone away. Money button, please. Just hit it real hard with that big old fist. That big old ham fist.
Is your car old enough to smoke? Surprising how many cars are. Is your car old enough to smoke? Surprising how many cars are.
If your car's gobbling up oil, put it on a reducing diet. Just a can of Prestone Oil Meiser added to your regular oil saves money. Prestone Oil Meiser is just what the name says. It's a miser for saving oil. Restores lost power, quiets noisy engines, stops oil burning in any car. Get Prestone Oil Meiser in the can with a handy tear-off top. insist on Prestone Oil Meiser. It helps save oil, save money, save your car.
If your car's old enough to smoke,
Surprising how many cars are.
if your car's old enough to smoke,
Get Prestone Oil Meiser.
that's wiser by far.
Prestone Oil Meiser is a product of Union Carbide.
Somehow I like the idea of the Englishman. Now that shows. Now really, that shows the difference between one of the big differences, a subtle difference, but a big one, between Americans and the British. You know what? We would not have admitted that we mislaid the news. Can you imagine a Lyle Van coming on, or Henry Gladstone on the news, John Wingate, Wingate says, "Good evening, folks. John Wingate here. And now the news. I've mislaid my news. I do not have my news tonight, folks. I left it somewhere. I think I left it down on the 23rd floor. However, folks, in the meantime, I'll tell you a few jokes. The funny thing happened to me the other day. I'm walking along Fifth Avenue and we just wouldn't do that, Whereas the English, by George, they are like that. They are unflutterable. In the face of total disaster, he just says, "One moment, please." And that's it. There's a... Oh, yeah. He says, let's take a little time here for a little gin. Oh, let's get on with the commercials here. I'll tell you this. Friday night, great night for Fridays. It's the best night of all for Friday. I begin to build up this excitement about doing a live audience show. I rarely talk about this, but I really, in radio itself, the kind of radio that is done today, the one big thing that I genuinely miss is an audience. Really miss an audience. And I've worked about this time Friday night. I begin to taste it, I begin to feel that thing of getting up there on that stage down at the Limelight. Incidentally, I wonder why so many people have the idea, somehow, they come into the Limelight, they always have a funny look on their face. Where do they get the idea that I sit in the corner at a little table with a pair of earphones on my head? No, you've heard them say that they're always a little... Haven't you seen them? Heard people say that, Lee? No. Actually, what I do is lay in the corner under a table with a pair of earphones on my head. I'm always a little surprised that they have the... I'm sorry. Oh, terrible person. Well, let's see. Do you need dough? Good hard cash to pay off the bills or to spend any way you like, go out and have a big whoopee time? Well, here's how you can borrow up to $800 without leaving your home, without calling on anyone to co-sign, without making any visits to any office. If your age is between 25 and 65 and you are steadily employed, just print your name and address on a postcard and send it to Murdoch. Old Murdoch's got the dough in the hand. His hand is hot and he's ready to pass it out. That's Murdoch Acceptance Corporation, Box 659, Poplar Bluff, Missouri. They have all the DEAUX out there. The address again is Murdoch, Box 659, Poplar Bluff, Missouri. There is nothing to it. They will rush you the money by return mail after your application has been processed. And they're not even going to inform your employer, your relative, your mother, or even the chick that you're going with. All right, the address again is Murdoch, M-U-R-Doc, Murdoch, Box 659, Poplar Bluff, Missouri. That's who pays us off here. Let's see. Funny business. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have Heritage. American Heritage. We have just time to remind you that if you haven't sent your buck in, then if you'd like to know a little more about your American Heritage, the life that you're living, send $1 to American Heritage. It's a great magazine that's usually $3.95 per issue, and they'd be glad to send you a representative issue simply by sending $1, one old buck, to American Heritage, Box 711, Great Neck, New York. That's a great neck. Sorry. You've got a real one, baby. And, we have just enough time to tell you about the time that I mislaid the news. Did I ever tell you the awful time when I was a mere child and I had gotten my big break on a Chicago radio station. Skip, you want to hear a radio story, Skip? Well, I have a kind of a precocious voice at that time. Believe it or not, I sounded almost exactly the same when I was 15 years old. I have some records of me made when I was 15. I sound almost exactly the same then as I sound now. Yeah, very much the same voice and all that. And so one summer, I got a chance to do don't worry about it, I'll give you the cue. I got a chance to do this big show. I was a summer replacement announcer on a big newscast, a fantastic newscast that came on every night. You remember when the 6 o'clock newscast, everybody in the city listened to it? You know, it was a whole big deal on radio. Well, I got a summer replacement job for this big famous newscaster doing his newscast. I used to do a newscast, you know. And I came on one night, big as, boy, like a brass monkey. I came on there, And they had, all the big thing, and the announcer came on. He says, now here for Harry Van Harry, standing in with the news is J.P. Shepard. And I said, good evening. And I had rushed out of the newsroom. I had been looking at my news for about an hour, And I put it on the desk, and I came rushing in. I rushed out of the newsroom, and I picked up my yellow copy, and I said, good evening. And now, here is the news. What do you think I brought in with me? I brought in a thing called A Day in the Life of a Woman, a United Press radio feature that started out, the opening words were, have you ever wanted to really try knitting? Well, girls, I looked at this thing, and here I was on the air, and it was being fed all over a network, all over the Midwest, and and everybody had walked out of the studio. No announcer, nothing. There was just an engineer sitting in there asleep, looking at me. And I have 15 minutes of ladies' news about knitting. And I am sponsored by the biggest brewery in the entire Midwest. And I said, and now the news. Would you believe it? That I sort of went blank, and I practically ad-libbed an entire 15-minute newscast. And in Japan today, it was announced, and it was, I said, and then finally the engineer slowly woke up, and he rushed in. He came in here with all kinds of little pieces of yellow paper. Yesterday's market reports, last week's weather. He had a thing called the ball scores in brief. He gave it all to me. And you know that we got all kinds of reports that was a great, wonderful human newscast. We just had no news.